And he's choosing the black. And does that black then spot very close to that red? Is that the right shot to play? Or has he no alternative because it's just so impossible to get back down the table off the pink to guarantee position, Dennis?
Yeah, I think if he pots the black, it's going to be very tight as to whether that red next to the black spot is available. So how has he judged the pace of this? Has he finished nicely on that red?
It was interesting. I mean, he was all ready to play that black for a split second there, wasn't he? Then it looked like he was playing it, and we're thinking, well, it doesn't seem like the right shot. And no, he should have set himself ready for it. But that's a much better option.
Yeah, he can get onto the black now, and that'll clear the black spot area completely.
Wow. Graham Dott, 7.
He's got himself in a good position, and he's made a bit of a mess of it. He might just have got away with it. This is very tight as to whether this red goes. The one next to the pink. Can't be a lot of room. Well, there, as we pull out, let's have a look. Ooh, that's tight, isn't it? No problem.
1.
Well, he couldn't have hit that one any better. And he does look more in control this evening than Graham Dott. Obviously, that Crucible final was after 16 days play. Both players really into their stride. A business as usual first session in some respects. Both players hardened to the pressures of the Crucible.
6.
Different set of problems here. Perhaps the first tournament of the season here in the Tote Sport Grand Prix. 2 matches under your belt, but only best of 9s. And perhaps any best of 9 is a little more tense than the longer matches, even if it should be the World Championship final. Strange tension, isn't it? How it can get you some days and not others.
Who was it once said? It's a funny old game. Jimmy Greaves, that was it. Don't see much of Jimmy these days. Hope he's keeping well and watching the odd match of snooker on television.
Yeah, he was talking about football.
Yeah, but it's a funny old game as well, Steve.
Graham Dott not looking too happy in his chair at the moment.
13.
That's quite rightly. Ronnie's at the table and looking very smooth amongst the balls.
14.
Graham just looking down there. That's the first time he's looked up at the table for a while. He's not really looking at the balls. He's just staring into oblivion. Or just looking over the edge of the cliff, one of the two.
21. 22.
Yeah, there's one in the middle that will go here, and he's got such a quick
30.
snooker brain, Ronnie O'Sullivan. He sees the whole situation very quickly indeed. And the one thing about it, you don't have to sit too long on your seat when he's going. He's left himself a bit of a tricky one.
37.
Graham maybe sees a little glimmer of hope here. He knows that Ronnie's got to pull out a very good pot to keep this going.
But this in its own way is a shot to nothing, Dennis.
38.
No red left up, should he have missed that red. And superb touch once again after a little lapse in positional
45.
play. And Ronnie O'Sullivan does look very much in control here.
46.
After a bit of a tactical start to this match, but perhaps that's the nature of best of 9 snooker.
Well, I suppose it could quite easily have been 2 each. I mean, Graham Dott has had his chances. And he was in this frame, and well, just put a little bit of a quick one in there, and he turned away in disgust. He knew that that was going to be costly, and it is.
Yes, it's interesting. He has had his chances, but amongst the balls, I think there's been a bit of a difference in how players have looked. And,
60.
So it's one thing getting yourself in position, and perhaps even the other player playing a bad safety shot, but then you've got to score heavily afterwards, and most of that's come
61.
from Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Yes, Stephen, that comes with confidence, doesn't it? And Ronnie's a natural-born winner, a proven
67.
winner, and when you're as confident as that,
68.
you don't feel as if you're going to miss when you're in. No pressure on Ronnie. He's so used to winning.
74.
Well, Graham Dott was no slouch in the World Championship. He was devastating in amongst the balls.
75.
Certainly in his own rhythm, and very much a power player in that particular tournament. But the day-to-day vagaries of playing snooker and
82.
putting a small ball in a slightly bigger pocket is not easy. Unless possibly you're Ronnie.
83.
It's hotting up now in the Guildhall.
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
There was a chance of a
83
century
and
break.
a break.
Ronnie won't be too disappointed in.
The corner pocket instead seemed like a less powerful shot needed, but certainly a great shot, and unfortunately for Graham Dott, in trying to get enough power onto that black to get past the red,
8.
hit a bit too low into the shot, stunned it a bit too much, and now a trickier one into the middle pocket.
That
Graham
sounded
Dott.
like a heavy
8.
contact to me. I've got a sneaky feeling that he got a bit of a kick there, because the white seems to have pulled up. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, it seemed to straighten up that red.
Well, even though it was nearly falling off the far jaw, it stayed out there. There did seem to be some grit and grime on that red ball as it trundled towards the pocket. A bit of chalk
1.
dust on the red. Certainly a piece of chalk transferred from the cue ball to the red. So an opportunity for Ronnie O'Sullivan to get his nose in front in this frame, at the very least.
Just going back, I know you've done quite a bit on the way the balls react and kicks and that. But when you go back years ago, when the cloths were thicker and the
7.
balls were slightly heavier, you'd play in the club, Steve, and the balls were filthy sometimes and you never got a kick at all.
Yeah, it didn't seem to be, but perhaps it wasn't
8.
as important whether you got one, so you can't remember them. I'm not too sure. But, I mean, the only real way, I suppose, to test what's causing the kick. I mean, if you got a brand new tip, made sure there was no chalk at all on it, and then played frame after frame without using chalk,
30.
plain ball, you'd probably find out you didn't get many kicks as well, even on these super fast cloths. Ronnie O'Sullivan would have liked a better kick off of those reds than he's got. He's on nothing, and he could have expected to have been on, at the very least, a potable red. So another safety shot.
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
A
30.
chance gone by from an ideal opportunity really on the blue, and you can't always guarantee that smashing into the pack off the blue guarantees results. Got to be a bit careful playing this safety shot. He doesn't push anything towards the right hand corner. That was acceptable as long as he played it firm. He was going to clear that red away from the path. Can Ronnie O'Sullivan squeeze past the blue to play a similar shot to the one that Graham Dott did, albeit on the other side?
the one. He had to hit the pink full ball, caught it 3/4, almost half ball, and that was the reason he didn't scatter the reds.
One.
That's the type of shot that he's so good at. Still a little bit awkward here. He can't really push through to get on the black.
8.
So he's taken the red into the middle pocket, which is much easier to get back for the black ball.
9.
Highest break in the match so far was the one before the mid-session interval, a break of 83. But, you might see a few going in here.
17.
That was handy for Ronnie O'Sullivan. He was just about able to get through for that red. Otherwise, he was going to have a problem at some stage in continuing the break. This makes it a lot easier. Can certainly clear a few more reds out of the way now before he has any problems. As we know, Ronnie likes to go into the pack
25.
pretty early when he feels like he's got an opportunity to manoeuvre balls into better positions. And even though he lost a bit of momentum in the last frame,
32.
it doesn't take him long to get back up to full running speed.
$33.
And here's the chance to go into the pack should he wish. One day I'll get a positional shot right in this box then.
40.
It's a lot easier out on the table, isn't it, Dave?
I'm not so sure about that. Not after today, but slightly out of position now, Ronnie. Needs a good pot to clinch the frame.
But it's one of those, he's going to be opening the reds up, so key that he knocks it in, because if he doesn't, he'll be opening the reds for Graham Dott. So I don't expect him to miss it.
47.
Now, does the black pass the reds? Can he see enough of the pink? All will be revealed. He can see enough of the pink. Yes, that's the end of frame. Just needs, well, a couple more pots
53.
to absolutely make sure.
Yes, and that was an
54.
excellent pink, effectively framed ball. And he just got down and stroked it in. Sometimes those frame balls can be a bit more difficult. But that pink never touched the sides.
60.
And the 2-frame advantage. Once again.
61.
Looking very strong in this match now.
He didn't get the cannon on the red. A little smile to himself there. Played the cannon on the red out, but I don't think he'd be too bothered about missing the brown. Graham Dott stays in his seat. That was a very quick-fire 61 break from Ronnie O'Sullivan, and it puts him 4-2 up. He only needs one to get through to the quarter-final.
So Ronnie O'Sullivan 1 frame from victory. Would that come in frame 7? Here it is from the break-off.
Short with the break off, so it leaves this red on for Graham. And a generous round of applause. There's a lot of Ronnie O'Sullivan fans in this packed audience, but they're a very fair crowd at the Guildhall in Preston. And if Graham Dott starts producing the goods, he'll get a good reception, as he did with that long pot.
6.
Pink tied up, and that red to the left of the black, just a bit of a problem. And if he can get nicely on the black, is he far enough? He can possibly get onto that red and clear it out of the way. I think it will go in the same pocket as the black, but he wants to be dead straight so that he can screw back behind it.
$14.
He's a very
50.
gritty, determined player, is Graham Dott. He's okay, but the black only just dropped in, but the reason for that
22.
was that he wanted to make sure he didn't snooker himself on this red behind the bunch.
He's going to have a critical shot coming up soon. It's not going to be easy to disturb those reds into a guaranteed potable position.
23.
Ideally would like to be low on the black to screw into the pack rather than come off the top cushion. He's a bit straight on this black. No problem in playing the red into the middle pocket. And now
30.
he's got to make the decision where to put the cue ball and try and disturb some reds after potting the black.
Yeah, he's got to play for the black, as you can see, with the angle, but
31.
he's got to catch the end red there. He doesn't want to hit the one directly at the back of the pack. If he does that, he could stick there. So doesn't want to cannon that one there. He wants to hit the one to the left of that, and that will split them better.
Well, bizarrely, it may not have worked
38.
out there, Dennis. It did look as if that was a better ball to contact. But I don't think there's a player in the world can predict how the balls are going to split up. Sometimes you have a better feeling for a pack than other times. Here's a big shot. Probably the cut into the middle pocket. Well, there you go. See, cut it in the middle, then you're perfectly on nothing, probably.
Yeah, the problem with cutting it in the middle was he was cannoning into the blue, so he wasn't sure what was going to happen with the cue ball. But I'll tell you what, that was a terrific long pot he pulled out. So he's full of grit and determination, as I mentioned, and there's a lot of snooker left in this match yet. If he can get it back to 4-3, he would be right back in it, and Ronnie knows that only too well. Can't do much about it when you're sitting in your seat.
$45.
I'm not quite sure if the
46.
red to the back and left of the bunch is available into the same pocket that he's taking the black. He's got the loose red, but if the one that I mentioned is on, that would be much better. If that one goes, it could be a lot better for him. And it does, because he's played perfectly onto it.
53.
What a time to produce your highest break of the match. He's had runs of 45, and I suppose 31 has been the highest after that, so he's making this just at the right time.
Couple of more balls needed.
61.
We noticed that cue ball roll through, saw a bit of chalk on the cue ball. It's retaining a bit of chalk at the moment, but it may not come into play.
62.
Playing firm stun shots seems to somehow reduce the chances of getting a destructive kick sometimes. Every time you hit the cue ball with the tip of your cue, it does sort of impact a certain amount of chalk onto the ball. That was an excellent shot that may have gone astray. Hard to see from here. He is not over the line
69.
as yet. He needs one more red, and he's not on it. An opportunity for Ronnie O'Sullivan, albeit a slim one.
Yeah, he was a wee bit unlucky there with that cannon. He only needed another red. And now he's got to get a good cue ball, and he would like to push something onto a cushion when playing this shot.
Graham Dott, 69.
Well, he hasn't. He's pushed a red on, and he was just one shot away from getting back to 4-3. This was the cannon here. He played it really well. Had he flicked the pink at the same time there, he would have been perfect.
Well, that was a red I thought Ronnie O'Sullivan may have just got. He's a great opportunist, but it wasn't a certainty. Couple of wobbles in the jaw, but that's frame over.
1.
And when we look at the standard of play tonight, Ronnie O'Sullivan has played pretty fluently amongst the balls. Graham Dott perhaps not so, but starting to show signs that he's getting into the game. It's so difficult to win these best of 9 matches.
8.
Well, he was on his way
8.
around the table there, but it shouldn't make a lot of difference. Ronnie's just weighing up how many's left on the table. There's not enough. He's coming to the table, but barring snookers, Graham Dott is just one behind at 4-3.
It was enough to make it 4-3. No one here surprised by the fighting spirit of Graham Dott. Here he is at the table in frame 8. There's no score.
It's a bit unlucky to push the red over the pocket. He's got a very good cue ball, as you can see. But this is a delicate shot. If Ronnie's going to try and hold for the black, he'd have to just drop this in dead weight. So, you know, it's not straightforward, and it looks as if he's striking down on it.
Yeah, I think a power shot could work here.
It has now. Didn't intend to cannon the red like that, but that's worked out a treat, hasn't it? He didn't want to risk just rolling that in because the white can drift off, and he's had a bit of a result there.
Well, looks like it must be a plant. Top spin on that cue ball. Kept the cue ball in the top half of the table. If it's not a plant, he has a long red into the green pocket.
9.
Not too sure he played position in that way. And will Ronnie's fluency get him over the line here? He has looked pretty good
14.
amongst the balls. And the balls are sufficiently open for
50.
Ronnie O'Sullivan to make a sizable break. Perhaps only one time into the pack should be enough. And he's just upping the pace a bit, walking around the table, bustling a little bit. But still that fluent cueing. The decision, as always, when to go into the pack.
22.
Is there a plant?
Well, even if it's not on directly, you can make it because there's a little bit of distance between them. So that's 2 plants
23.
so far. And if he plays this next cannon correctly, it'll open a few more up. Well, he could hold for the red, so it'll have to be the cannon after the next shot.
30.
So this is the
31.
key one. There's still a loose red to the left of the pink, but yeah, he's picking off the loose one first. So it's imperative now that he gets
38.
a good angle when potting this red, because that's the end of the easy reds. 38 in front, so he needs the pack open.
$39.
Key shot coming up. Sort of three-quarter half ball contact when he cannons the reds rather than straight into the back of those two. Let's see how this one works out.
$46. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 46.
Not easy. One perhaps most people thought Ronnie was going to get, but it was a very thin cut with a degree of difficulty in the positional side of things, and an opportunity for Graham Dott. Perhaps he didn't think he was going to get so early, with still a realistic chance of getting back into this frame. But this is awkward. Not a good sign there. Perhaps a bit fortunate to get away with that, although there may be the chance of a red into the middle pocket past the pink.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Steve. That red does go. And with Ronnie now 47 points in front, this is looking pretty good. Graham Dott knew the importance of that long red. He had to take it on. He'd knocked one in the previous frame and made a superb 69 break to get within one frame.
9.
But it looks a bit ominous now. Still not straightforward. I'm not sure if that red to the right of the 4 is on. Well, the one at the left goes, so when he pots this, it'll clear the path
14.
for another red. This could
15.
be the end of match. He's put up a good battle as Graham Dott, but he knows he missed a few earlier on that he couldn't really afford to miss, because Ronnie has been in fine form throughout this Grand Prix. He's looked the most consistent player by far.
21.
Should this tournament progress and Ronnie O'Sullivan and Paul Hunter get through to the semi-final stage, that's where they would meet. And that may well
22.
be. It could well be. In some ways, determining who wins the tournament. They do seem to be in good form. I played Paul Hunter today. He looked very good amongst the balls. And so does Ronnie O'Sullivan.
And the crowd applauded that straightforward red he potted, not to the pot, but they knew it was the red
26.
that leave Graham Dott needing a snooker. Well, oohs and ahs from the crowd.
26.
Graham Dott comes to the table, but 67 on, 72 in front. Ronnie O'Sullivan should be through to the quarter-final. Just enough sticking out. Well, there wasn't, but well, has he missed this? He has.
Foul. Graham Dott 4.
So 67 still on the table.
No miscalled. Snookers were required. And still needing snookers. But the Reds in the position they are Should Graham Dott be able to pot 4 reds and 4 higher valued colours, he would be in a position perhaps to leave one around the pink spot area to then play a simple snooker behind the pink. That's what he's hoping. It's Ronnie O'Sullivan's job to just try and contain things for the moment.
Yeah, just 1 4-point snooker required, so all is not quite lost yet for Graham Dott. But can he get a chance to get those reds and high-valued colours that Steve was talking about? This could clinch the match. One good long pot, and I think Graham Dott will shake hands. Not quite. This could be up behind the brown.
Well, problem for Graham Dott in as much as the shot would be to try and cut this red in as a shot to nothing, but he doesn't really want to pot it and leave himself down the wrong end of the table. That was quite well judged. Looks like Ronnie's going for this. No, perhaps not, sorry. Oh, sorry, you're right. It did look like he was going for it, and that may well be frame over.
1.
Yeah, so Ronnie O'Sullivan special to make absolutely sure. It's been a very
4.
good display from Ronnie. Not vintage. We haven't had a century break.
5.
Ronnie's had breaks of 50, 54 and 61.
And I don't think we'll be seeing Ronnie O'Sullivan use his right hand again in this
11.
frame or match, other than
12.
to chalk his cue.
This is just a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of exhibition stuff, and well, I just
19.
like watching him playing left-handed.
20.
It's just so special. I used to be renowned as a good left-handed player, but I could only pot certain balls, Steve, ones that I
27.
couldn't pot with the rest. I was useless with the rest, but he can pot them from anywhere. Okay, he's missed that one in the middle, but
frame and the match.
he won't be too
Ronnie
disappointed
O'Sullivan.
about that. It wasn't vintage Ronnie O'Sullivan,
Hello.
but Graham Dott made a good fight back, but it wasn't enough.
Right, Ronnie.
That break of 46 more or less clinched the frame and the match, so Ronnie O'Sullivan goes through to the quarterfinals. 5 for